Rohan and Rita are engineering students. They are studious and smart. They work hard and get good grades. It's a happy story. But here comes the villain. They're confused about their future. They find no connect with the subjects they study and what career they want to pursue. Professor Nandlal is a very senior lecturer. He has sensed this issue with many other students like Rohan and Rita. He is worried too. He sets out on a mission to find a solution. He does some research, tries to find out who can help him bring the real corporate world into the classroom. He wants someone to help students gain knowledge and experience of the practical world. And voila, what does he find? VBind, bringing industry to classroom. VBind has a list of industry experts as masters on their platform. By means of VBinders, these masters interact with students like you. These VBinders are called masterclass. What do we expect from a masterclass? Stories of inspiration and experience, tons of information on new products and the ideas behind it, useful insights on how to step into the industry, chance to interact and pitch ideas to the movers and shakers of the industry. One such masterclass is waiting for you. Come, let's hear the master. And yes, don't forget to like us on Facebook or tweet to us at VBind. We appreciate your feedback by just a WhatsApp on 088 791 63528. We promise to bring the Tatas and Bansals and the Murtis to you soon. Help us get them live on your screens.
So dear students, today's masterclass is on manufacturing, Make in India. And to enlighten us with his knowledge, we have with us Mr. Mrinal Sharma. Mr. Sharma is the director of Gloob Décor, which is India's fastest growing home decor brand with more than 1,000 channel partners across India. And to know more about manufacturing, I request you, sir, to take over.
Thanks, Fahim. Fahim, can I have the screen sharing be given to me? First of all, a very good morning to the entire August House, and many thanks to the VBind team for giving us this opportunity. Just to give a brief introduction, my name is Mrinal Sharma. I'm sure I've been introduced by Fahim. I head and co-founded this organization called Gloob Décor the year 2011 with the perspective of reviving and changing the home decor industry, which is already a very disorganized market. Right? Our history goes back to the year 2010. While we were still in college, we kind of incubated and started an advertising agency called Zion Media Labs. It was an 8 to 10 member team where we had a team of designers who could create any kind of audiovisual content. And we had some of the most esteemed clients, starting from Pepsi, Coke, HUL, for whom we were making audiovisual content, which could be something like ad jingles, which could be something like a corporate play. But yes, we scaled up very fast, but we found significant problems with respect to scaling at a massive scale. The reason being that in an advertising agency, as the number of projects or as the number of clients increases, you have to have as many number of project managers. So scalability was always a question because we could only have so many number of project managers to kind of look forward to or maybe cater to so many clients. That gave us the germ of the idea as to then we kind of did a small SWOT analysis as to what we were good at. So we had a very good meticulous team of engineers and MBA grads. We had a very, very sound team of design, which could possibly make any kind of product design, any kind of conceptual design, could think out of the box. So the very first product that we kind of experimented with was something very innovative, and it's very interesting to share it with this young crowd. Just as an experimental basis, we said, okay, what is the problem statement in the kind of corporate companies who are our clients? So a lot of these expats, generally Russians and Chinese expats, they always faced a problem to pronounce their name when they were meeting their Indian counterparts. So we kind of came up with an idea of making a visiting card, so that when the gentleman gives the visiting card to the recipient, and when the recipient touches the visiting card, there's a microchip in the visiting card and then pronounces the name of the person, making it very, very easy for everybody to comprehend his name. Right? And it was widely accepted in the industry. Right? That possibly gave us an idea as to how can we convert the concept of this whole enterprise that we have of a design setup and advertising setup. How could we productize this idea and make it into an end product? Right? We kind of figured out few sectors. We bottomed down at jewelry. We bottomed down again at maybe starting a production house or movies. But then we figured out that with certain conversations with some intelligent people in the industry, we figured out that possibly home decor is one such sector where our skill sets, and given the amount of intellectual enterprise that we had a very, very strong connect. And that's where the journey started in the year 2011. I'll give you a small brief of how we started. So in the year 2011, we had entered into decor space, and we started with the wall decor market, which was at that time, which was about a 2,000 to 2,500 crore market. When I say wall decor, it does not include paints. Paints is a building product, so we don't include paints in this. It majorly includes different kind of decor items that were present, which are basically wallpapers, wall graphics, and different kind of wall accents. So also we had a conscious vision that we did not want to take venture capitalist funding or private equity funding in the beginning, because that's where a good number of maybe young people get astray, because they think that possibly to run a business or to start a business, you have to have sufficient amount of funding. But we felt the inverse, that first of all, it was always important to establish a business that was profitable on unit economics. If the business is not profitable on unit economics, when I say unit economics, it means that if you sell 1 unit of product, it should be profitable after considering operational costs and after considering your own indirect expenses, which includes your office rent and etc. etc. If we are able to make a profitable business, yes, the business has the propensity to grow. Maybe if later on, if we required, it would set up a better business case where we would have to divest lesser equity. And this is a very rare thought, because with the pace at which startups are growing and the pace at which they're getting funded, the whole concept of funding is taking away the focus. I believe it's taking away the focus from people on focusing on how to scale their business, how to make the business sustainable. So I mean, if you just give it a simple thought, did we have a venture capitalist funding or a private equity funding 25 years back? No. But the biggest enterprises in India, Reliance, Tata, HUL, they were all incubated, or they were all started just by a simple man like you and me, right? With the basic idea that there is a problem in the society or in the economy which we can plug, and we can plug profitably. If we can plug that profitably and scalably, the idea of taking a funding is not really required. So that was a conscious decision. So we said that what possibly can we do? Because maybe selling a wallpaper or a wall accent, which is a very small SKU size item, maybe around 10,000, 12,000 rupees, for a 10 feet by 10 feet wall, is not going to make us rich, nor can it be scaled to a level that we can have an office of our own, right? So then we kind of got into the model which essentially helped us create a negative working capital, right? Does anyone know the concept of a negative working capital? Fahim, can we remove the mics? Anyone aware of the concept of a negative working capital and how negative working capital is beneficial to a business?
Does anybody know about negative working capital?
Okay. So negative working capital essentially means that you get the money, you get the inflow of money first into the business, and then the outflow of money will be happening at a later point of time. Essentially, it is also demerit because it possibly means that you're possibly taking a debt from somebody, which you will anyways have to repay at a certain point of time. But the point is that the simple mathematical example is, let's say you have to you are buying something worth rupees 10 from somebody, right? You buy that product first, and then you repay the 10 rupees after some point of time, which obviously is not so immediate. That is the concept of a negative working capital. Why it is good for us? Because first, if we are selling something worth rupees 10 to somebody, we are not giving the value of rupees 10 at the same day. Like it's like somebody's come to buy a chocolate from you, right? He pays you rupees 10, you give the chocolate to him. So the cost of purchasing the chocolate from your supplier you've incurred on day one. But let's say the person comes to you and says, okay, this is your rupees 10. I don't want the whole chocolate today. You give me the chocolate in 5 different pieces in possibly every week. Right? So what happens is that we have got the liquidity today, that is rupees 10 today, but we can actually give the product to the gentleman in 5 different installments. Hence, the cost of those 5 different installments will be incurred week after week, not on day one. Right? How we kind of implemented this concept is that we entered into something that's called as a channel network. Right? Anybody aware of what is a channel network or a distribution network? You've heard of all the retail companies, of the FMCG companies, HUL. I'm sure all of you would be buying soaps from the nearest retailer. How do you get the soap from there? Because there's a parent company who makes retailers and sub-retailers under it, and then finally distributes the product at the local resale points. And that's how you finally get access to the product. We also evolved into that kind of model, wherein we started making dealers and distributors of our product, which essentially comes in the year 2011. So hence, what we used to do is that we gave a certain amount of stock of our products to these resellers, dealers, and distributors. They used to pay a certain lump sum amount as advance, which essentially kept on getting invoiced in time, and that created a kind of liquidity in our business to generate cash flows and scale the business slowly and gradually. So let's say if the person is one of our retailers investing rupees 10 lakh on day one, out of those 10 lakhs, he takes about 3 to 4 lakhs of stock, and the remaining 6 lakhs remain as advance. As and when he wants to buy the product, he can buy the product from us. In return of those rupees 10 lakhs, we gave him territorial exclusivity. That okay, if he wants a territorial exclusivity of, let's say, establishing a shop in Andheri West, we promised him that possibly we'll not make any other retailer or any other channel partner in possibly 2 to 3 kilometer radius. Right? Hence, he was also incentivized to generate sales, and we was able to achieve the targets. At the same time, we had the liquidity flowing into the business because we had surplus cash to invest in new product development as well as to keep the business going. Yeah.
Just to interrupt, have you shared a PPT?
Yes, I have already shared a PPT.
Okay. We are not able to see actually. Can you share it again?
Yeah, I'll just do that. Yeah. My screen on now?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll start from the year 2011, where we entered into the assorted portfolio of wall decor, and we formally initiated a channel distribution network for Gloob Décor, which essentially means making dealers and distributors for the same. And as I explained, it was exactly this model that kept us afloat and as a scalable and growing enterprise for the next 3 years, because of obvious reasons that we used to get the money in advance and the products were sent later on to them. Right? And as and when they wanted to get it invoiced, they were getting invoiced. Right? At the same time, in time, we realized that possibly with the kind of scalable tactics that we employed of making a dealer or distributor, we practically reached about 80 to 90 key cities of India, which essentially made us the go-to brand when it came to any kind of choice for selecting a wallpaper or a wall accent. So let's say we even have a shop in one of the hottest places in India. Most of the online companies can't even dream of getting there. But because of the fact that we have a local dealer over there, we can service a market like Barmer. We have a dealer in a place called Pathankot, which is one of the northernmost cities of Jammu. Right? Now, all of us are intelligent over here to understand that none of the online players can possibly reach a place like Pathankot in a single day delivery. Right? But we do that because of our distributed channel network, where our stock is already there. And hence, once the product gets installed and once the customer comes to the shop, and the first choice that he sees that there's a Gloob wallpaper available and he is able to readily purchase it, it creates a very significant brand identity. Right? So that was the time that when we realized that possibly we could leverage the entire distribution network for something more useful. Right? Just a moment. So it took us about 1.5 to 2 years to figure out because our business was something like how Facebook evolved. We did not want to take funding. We did not want to involve any private equity investor because it was growing at a massive scale. So we tried to understand as to what are our skill sets. Why are we able to create dealers at such a massive pace? Because we were practically creating 2 dealers and maybe 1 showroom every alternate day. That gave us the idea that possibly the home decor and the home furnishing market is a very disorganized market. And it is very interesting that when we used to go and kind of pitch to these guys who are technically from the disorganized market, typically Marwadis or from not the very organized. We were actually working in companies like KPMG and McKinsey. And after we left and we started this venture, the very first people who we meet are Marwadis who are very staunch mathematicians. Right, and very difficult to convince. Right, that was actually one of the plus points, that our approach was very professional, and because of that fact, we were able to kind of convince them and expand the network at a very fast scale. Right? So the vision that we coined was that we, in the next 5 to 6 years, we wanted to become the global brand in decor and furnishing by conceiving path-breaking products in the home decor market. And the mission that we have in front of us that we wish to achieve by the financial year 2017, and we are on track with it, is that we want to become the first go-to brand when it comes to any home or office decor solution for any kind of customer. Right? To give you a brief, the furniture and furnishings market in India is about $20 billion, which essentially is about close to 1.4 lakh crore. Right? And about 60% of this is dominated by furniture, which is a very logical thought because our entire house is filled with furniture, be it a bed, a table, or any kind of small furniture. Right? The interesting thing to see over here is that within this furniture segment, the residential sector is about 70%, and only 6% of this is organized. So which means that about in a $10 billion furniture market, the organized segment is only about $400 million. And it is very alarming to see that all the online players and the organized offline players are actually trying to take a pie of this $400 million. Nobody is actually focusing on the remaining amount out of the $10 billion. As you can see, some of the known companies that we all know, which have been stalwarts in this industry, which is Godrej, Style Spa, which are the organized and established chains, they actually command not more than $80 to $90 million of sales every year. Right? Even the online furniture market, cumulatively, when we say online furniture market, it means companies like Urban Ladder, it means companies like Fab Furnish, Rento Mojo, any kind of company in the online market space. Again, they command about only $130 million. Our idea was that why are we not trying to tap the remaining $10 billion market? Right? Primarily, nobody has been able to crack it is because everybody is trying to share a pie, to kind of take a share of a pie of the organized market. We said the only way to actually reach the unorganized market is to kind of go to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right? Where the propensity to consume is high, but with my experience, we figured out that because there are not so many options available with the local residents over there, right? People actually go and spend 2-3 hours to go to the nearest town to buy, something like even a normal bed. So we said, why can't we create a disruptive model and create a local presence over there? And that's also the reason behind going into a channel network, wherein we said that let's farm out the market. Every tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 town, we should be able to farm out and create a local dealer over there. The person, when it comes to wall and home decor, should not be having to think about the nearest town or city. He should be getting the same quality of products in his nearby store. And that's how we directed our sales team in possibly the year 2013 to kind of reach out. We identified about 60 to 70 tier 2 towns, which included towns of the likes of Vijayawada, which included towns of the likes of Kanpur, Ranchi, like Guwahati, wherein we went and established our dealership network and distribution network. We contacted the key players over there. But we were able to convince them because we already had a successful model and successful stores doing good profits and good revenue in the leading cities. Like Guwahati, we were able to convince because the nearest town, that's Kolkata, was doing great. Kanpur, we were able to convince because nearest town, Delhi, was doing great. Right? So the whole step-by-step approach was essentially planned, right? And planned to kind of grow to each and every nook and corner of the city. Now, obviously, India has about 600 districts. It is not possible to reach 600. But the basic statistic that we picked up was that how many cities can we possibly reach, right? Does anybody have an idea of, let's say, a brand like Gloob, which I'm sure you must have researched a bit, or it's a good home decor brand. How many cities in India how many? Any clue, any basic estimate? And how would you go about this estimate? If you were in my position and if I asked you, how many cities do you want to reach? I can't hear. I'm sorry. I think there are some answers coming, but I can't hear any particular number.
Can somebody come near the screen and answer?
And you have to give a basic statistic of how you arrived at that particular figure.
So can you repeat the question?
I'm trying to identify that if somebody was there in my position, and if you had to take a business call as to how many cities in India should we reach, should we make a dealer or a retail presence, how would you decide that? Okay, how many? Okay, the basic question: how many MPs do we have in India? Member of Parliament. Right. So, which means that exactly now discarding about 50% of them, because 50% of those districts would be situated in some Naxalite areas or maybe too backward. That was one estimate that we took. Then we said that let's compare ourselves to to the closest parallel brand. So we took the example of a brand like Van Heusen. A brand like Van Heusen was one which we took as an example from the apparel market. And from the food market, we took the example of a brand called Domino's. It was very interesting to find that both these brands are present in about 220 cities in India. Right now, the person can shell out about 300 to 500 rupees for eating a pizza, can definitely shell out possibly 10,000, 12,000 rupees to make a good decor. Van Heusen is one of the fairly expensive brands in apparel in India. So these are the two estimates that we possibly took to understand as to what should be our maximum reach in the market. And as of now, we are happy to say that we have still not reached that mark of about 220, but we are about one third of that. We are present in about 80 to 90 cities. And slowly, gradually, we are planning to scale it down. This is the Indian furniture market. As you can see, a significant 78% of it is still unorganized. So it is very alarming to see that all these companies, which we have all heard about, big companies, are only occupying 22% of the entire world, of the entire share of the Indian market. If we go to the Indian furniture market, organized sector, right, 85% of it is imported, right, and only 15% is produced in India. When we say produced in India, you can say the final assembly is done in India. Still, the raw material and the parts are imported from abroad. This is basically an estimate of what essentially sells in the market. So it's very logical to understand that 65% of it is dominated by the retail segment, wherein we manufacture beds, lockers, and different kind of household items. 20% of it is dominated by the office space and other miscellaneous space, maybe office, educational institutions, etc., etc. So this is where possibly the impetus will start on manufacturing. That some of the states where the manufacturing takes place is Gujarat, UP, Punjab, Kerala. But as I still said, that these states, even if you take the entire production, it is not even sufficient to cater to the demand in the leading cities of those states only. Forget the rest of the country, and hence we have to import a significant amount of products, raw materials from countries like Italy, Germany, Spain, Malaysia. There is also a very interesting thing which I came to know during my market visits, is that we kind of did a small social experiment, that we made a very interesting furniture and placed it at a retailer point. Right? When we said that this product is made by an Indian company called Gloob, and we priced the product at about 35,000, which is a very justified price for the product. People were very apprehensive about buying that product. The very next week, we kind of changed the product. We made something similar to that, and when we said that this is an Italian brand which has just come, people were ready to purchase it at even 10% increased price. So there is significant mindset that people have, that generally the retail segment has, that possibly quality is something that Indian brands always refrain from, which is exactly the reason why manufacturing in India has always been a challenge, because manufacturing in India will never be sustainable if you only produce and give it to and kind of distribute it within the country. It has to outgrow itself. It has to become a global brand. So that was the time we did a small SWOT analysis. We said that possibly our strengths were that we were in a booming market, right? We were in a market which was growing because there's a new wave of startups and new business and small and medium size enterprises which are coming. There's an abundant supply of raw material in the form of plywood, in the form of civil materials that we can source within the country. Imports are obviously getting easier thanks to the recent government, which has given us a significant rebate. The weakness is that a significant chunk of this market, as you all have seen in the previous slides, is still disorganized. For example, we have all heard of a brand called Kurlon, Sleepwell. These are mattress brands, which are their turnover is about 600 to 800 crores a year, and it's still increasing. But still, when you go to the smaller cities and towns, you'll still find that these brands do not have a reach over there. What sells over there is that there's a person who comes in a small van and delivers a handmade gadda to you, a handmade mattress to you, right? Which is obviously available at maybe 1/3 or half the price of a normal Kurlon or a Sleepwell mattress. Same is the concept of furniture, right? Very few people understand the concept of quality in furniture. If they have to make a small storage in a house, they'll call the local carpenter and get it done, irrespective of how much trouble that particular furniture piece might give to him in future. The opportunity is that it's moderately competitive in this industry, because apart from brands like us, Gloob, and a few startups which have just come up, which still are there only in the online segment, we never faced very, very stiff competition from the very organized brands. It can also be because of the fact that these brands that we're talking about, Godrej, are very diversified companies. Their key revenue would not come from the furniture market, because they're deeply entrenched in this market. So their steady revenue is coming in. Hence, we never faced a very stiff competition from any industry player, right? Which is a very good thing for us, because all the other industries that I usually know of, let's say telecom, pharmaceuticals, there is cutthroat competition. You come up with a new product, and that product, you can be rest assured, will be replicated in the next 7 days. The threats were that there are new entrants, not in the offline segment, but yes, in the online segment. As we rightly understood, there are 3 to 4 companies which got incubated and started in the year 2011. They are on your fingertips. You can count. There's Urban Ladder, there's Fab Furnish, there's Jabong, and there are a few more. Interestingly, if you see that possibly these 2 to 3 companies from the year 2012 when they started till 2015, they have done more than 2,000 crore worth of business. Now, this may be an insignificant figure to us, but you can imagine that if when you go and speak out this figure to the local retailer or a very big retailer of a certain city, right? Let's say a city like Delhi, for him it is an alarming thing, which means that 2,000 crore worth of business from the big cities or even whatever city has gone to the online segment, which means the customer would have refrained from going to the local retail store and would have preferred buying it online. This is also an alarming figure, primarily because of the fact that the internet penetration in India, given mobile communication, everything, still does not exceed 6 to 8%. Right? Out of those 6 to 8%, the number of buyers would still be about not more than 0.1%. If that 0.1% can cause so much damage of the magnitude of 2,500 crore to this industry in just 2 years, we can understand that when the bigger plans of the government, when they fructify in terms of adding bandwidth and creating internet infrastructure in the country, what kind of damage will it cause to this offline retail industry? Right? And hence, the industry needs to gear up and understand the threats and increase the level of services to obviously create the first choice for preference when it comes to buying something for the house. So this is our product portfolio that we kind of structured after 3 to 4 years of meticulous thinking. We are into office furniture, which includes workstations, meeting tables, reception tables, storage chairs. We are into home furniture, which essentially does not include very heavy items. It includes basic decorative items like bookshelves. We are into fiber-based sculptures. We are into wall decor in the form of wall graphics and wallpapers. We are into paintings. We are into clocks. Now, if you see this entire gamut, this entire portfolio, leaving apart the office furniture, if our salesperson enters a particular house for a sales pitch, the advantage that he has is that we basically manufacture about 60 to 80% of the items that go in the decoration of a particular house. So we don't manufacture storages, we don't manufacture beds, we don't manufacture dining tables. But what we do is that the remaining 40 to 50% of the products that people generally buy for their home, we manufacture it. Right? So this kind of differentiates us from the local dealer who only manufactures 1 or 2 things. Right? For example, if the customer goes to a shop for buying furniture, he'll not get a sculpture, he'll not get a clock, he'll not get a painting, while he needs everything. Hence, we made a conscious decision that when we make dealers, it is important, it is imperative, and it is compulsory for all the dealers to have this portfolio. Now, it was a very daunting task because you can understand that you're going and speaking to to a person who is not very educated, first of all, who has done a business in, let's say, furniture for the past 20-25 years. His family has been running that business. And he needs to be convinced, and he needs to be convinced by our salesperson that, sir, you need to keep all these products, because customers who come and buy furniture will definitely look out for wallpaper, will definitely look out for painting, will definitely look out for decorative items like clocks. And with this entire pitch, we were able to convince most of the dealers and distributors to kind of keep the entire portfolio, create a gallery out of it, create an experience zone. And that's how possibly a Gloob store stands apart from any other retail showroom, which any other furniture retail brand, which essentially focuses only on portfolio. So when the customer comes, if the billing was, let's say, if the billing was going to be rupees 10, the billing increases to rupees 30 to 40, because he essentially gets to buy everything from one store. This is a network expanse. We have possibly covered, I think this is a little old, so we have shown up only about 40 to 50 cities in this. Right? There are very, very small towns also that we have covered that possibly it will even be difficult to kind of locate on the map. This is how typically a Gloob store looks.
Mrinal sir, there's a question coming up from Rajiv Gandhi College from Nilesh sir. Sir, you may please go ahead.
Please. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, I can hear you, Mr. Richard. Hello. Yeah, Fahim, can you understand the question and let me know?
Yeah.
I think the
sir, Nilesh sir, can you please ask the question?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Fahim, I think the BCET Gurdaspur College is on view.
Hello. Mr. Sharma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Rachit.
Yeah, actually, we are the students from the Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Technology. We are the second year engineering students here.
Yes.
There is a general question from our side. What do you suggest if an engineering student, after passing out, if they want to start up manufacturing established item, let us say washer or some nuts and bolts, how they should start? What the things they should do the thing first?
Fahim, can you tell me the question once again, Fahim? I could not hear the last part.
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Is it audible, Sharma?
Yes.
Yeah, you're audible. I could not understand the last part.
As an engineering student, if they pass out, what do you suggest? They should do first.
See, personally, okay, this is now. I'll answer this question very, very succinctly. See, Mr. Rajat, it is first of all very important to really utilize the 4 years of engineering that we have, right? And I'm saying this with all due respect to all professors and teachers over here. We do not do enough for students to actually explore themselves as to what they are good at. Hence, the onus during engineering time, and it is very important, these 4 years are very important. There is a very logical reasoning why these 4 years are given to you after school, so that you can explore and you can understand what you are good at. It does not necessarily need to be manufacturing. In these 4 years, I would, in my personal advice, in my personal capacity, I would suggest students to try out different things. There's a reason why you have college fests. There's a reason why you have technical fests. There's a reason why you are going and representing your college in different competitions. More than the philosophy of competing different colleges, it is important to explore your own self as to what are your key strength areas. Coming per se to the question as to how to start a manufacturing setup. First of all, you have to understand what is the market size which you are catering, right? And you have to understand as to how much amount of money or liquidity do you need to sustain the business if you do not have any other source of income. Let us say I set up a 50 crore plant today. Right? First of all, we have to understand what are the operational expenses and how much revenue will we be making, which essentially means when will we actually reach operational break-even. When we say operational break-even means that, let's say if we invest 50 crore in establishing our factory, when will we become profitable after considering only operational costs and not considering costs for setting up the factory? Cost of setting up the factory will need to be amortized over the next 10 to 15 years. You cannot recover that in 1 year. The problem with most of the manufacturing enterprises that we face today is that sufficient analysis has not been done. Primarily, they all rely on debt funding, on equity funding, or some or the other kind of external funding. And they say that if it fails, finally it's the bank that makes a loss. People actually lack the concept of understanding, are we making a product which is profitable on unit basis? Right. Number two, what is the threat from other companies entering into this sector? Right. It is in India. It is difficult to do manufacturing per se. What we have felt, because there are so many laws and regulations which keep on changing from day to day. But the point is that these laws and regulations are also an inhibitor for us. We need to understand that if we are making a certain product, what is the market for which we are making? Is it that niche a market that nobody else can enter? For example, I'll tell the case pertaining to us, because I'm not very aware of too many other sectors. We started the manufacturing of office furniture. This was after 3 to 4 years of actually being in the market and understanding the market. We for sure could not have taken this step of setting a 50 to 100 crore plant in year one. It took us about 3 years to understand the market, to understand that a product like an office furniture is a technical product. So any Tom, Dick and Harry or any unorganized investor cannot get into it, because when you're making an office, you have to see where the electrical layouts are there, how the AC will work, what is the orientation of the airflow. So it's a very technical product. And hence the entry barrier is very high. You cannot have any Tom, Dick and Harry, any small person sitting in a city like Vijayawada, start an office furniture brand, because it involves a good amount of designing, a good amount of intellectual capital. And that's the reason we saw that, okay, possibly the only competitors that we had in the office furniture brand were Godrej Interior and another brand called Featherlight. There was no other organized or big player that we knew of. But this kind of learning will actually take some time because you have to be in business. More importantly, for running the manufacturing enterprise, it is always important to be lean. It is very sometimes it happens that possibly you have to kind of create a trade-off between quality and time to delivery. In that sense, I would always say that we should always focus on quality, because if you're delivering a quality product and the client is happening, that client will give you 5 more products. But if we try to cut it short and say that fine, 10 hours is what it is taking me to produce a product. If I can find a stopgap way and produce it in 5, maybe 3 hours, I'll be able to make 3 more products. That is a very wrong approach, which most of the manufacturing organizations take. They say that how do we increase production, so let's reduce the quality, which is exactly the reason why India is not the first go-to option when it comes to global decor brands or maybe global brands. So I would first suggest that for engineering students, it is very important to first explore yourselves in these 4 years. Maybe by the 2nd or 3rd year, you should try to understand what are your skill sets, right? And I think the world is open. We have internet every day, all throughout on your mobile. Make some purposeful bets in life. Like when we were in college, we were very enthused about the idea of product design. So we made something. We made a jalebi making machine for one of the 5-star hotels in India. Right? Obviously, that venture was not successful. Neither did we want to scale it up. But we actually made a contraption that could actually produce jalebis at maybe 100 jalebis in 1 minute. It was a very big size machine. We were not very successful with it, but it gave us an idea that possibly if we can sell it to maybe 3 5-star hotels, if given the adequate amount of attention, we could sell it to the remaining 40 also. So it is very important to create a niche, create a value system, create a niche and focus. Because if you lose focus, if you start focusing on multiple product lines, like if other than jalebi, we started focusing on samosas and multiple product items, multiple eateries, we would have gone lost. So it is important in these 4 years to make purposeful bets. It is highly impossible that you will succeed with only one product. use your time judiciously, invest your time in creating maybe 5 to 10 different concepts, 5 to 10 different products across sectors, and take qualified inputs from your professors, from customers, from possibly industry experts, and that will actually be a very, very judicious use of time. I think the key to this is simply utilizing this 4 years that you have in colleges, in college, right? Because funding and investment is not a challenge in these days.
We are able to explore this exactly cases with the industry experts are talking. For that, we did this exercise.
Exactly. So, I think
he answered in that way, in a correct way.
yeah, I think the whole system has gone very flat, Mr. Rachit. I don't think industry experts are.
What are the problems?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mr. Rachit. Yeah, Fahim, can you intervene and let me know what's the question?
Sir, can you repeat the question once again?
There is another question from other college. Just listen.
Okay. Being College of Punjab, Gurdaspur, do you have any question?
Might ask some questions.
Yes, sir. You can, yeah, you can repeat the question, sir.
Or you can ask the general thing.
Yeah, it can be an open-ended question also. It does not necessarily need to be connected to home decor.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Hello. Yeah, I can hear you. Please go on.
Suppose I want to start a business.
Yeah.
Then I have two conditions. First one is that I like go to a single person and having a profit of 500. And I sell another thing to 50 persons and I got a profit of 10 per each. Then which would be better for me?
Fahim, can you understand the question? Let me know, please.
No. The voice is not that audible. Can you be a little clear? Can you come in front? Just come in front of the camera.
So actually, I want to start a business.
Yeah.
Actually, to start a business,
Yeah.
I sell a good to a person having a profit of 500.
Mm-hmm.
And second condition, I sell 50 goods to 50 persons having a profit of 10 each.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be better?
Okay, it's a very interesting question actually. Okay. See, you have to see first of all understand what are the skill sets that you have. For example, this is exactly the problem that we also faced, and we have actually overcome this problem also, which I'll enunciate and which I'll explain in the later on slides. For example, I'll give you the example of my present company itself. We all know that possibly for decorating a wallpaper would cost something like, let's say, 100 rupees square feet. So maybe a 10 feet by 10 feet wall. At maximum, the revenue that we can get is maybe 10,000 rupees. Right? Out of that, the profit that after the entire organizational expense and cost of products, cost of goods, the profit that we were getting was close to 20 to 30%. That was about 2,000 to 3,000 rupees per 100 feet of wall. Now, this was definitely not enough for a company of our size to propel itself into a different orbit. So we had to move to a different market. Right? But when we say that we move to a different market or look for product expansion, does not mean that we actually leave the previous product. Right? Because as we mentioned, selling a product that generates you 500 rupees profit and is obviously going to be much more difficult to sell than a product which generates 10 rupees product, 10 rupees profit, and you're able to sell it in numbers. So you have to understand that, because when you're selling, the higher the SKU value of the product, the difficult will it be to sell, and the more difficult it will be to find who is the consumer for that. For example, we have usual apparel stores like Van Heusen, like Raymond's, but we also have very, very concept and boutique stores like there's a brand called Kanali, in which the cost of a basic men's suit starts from 1 lakh rupees. Right? Now, how many buyers of 1 lakh rupees would be there? Right? How to find those buyers? Where to set up that store? And obviously, if you set up that store, it has to be one of the most premium locations of the city. What will be your overhead expenses? Right? I would say that first of all, you have to understand your skill sets. And skill sets does not necessarily mean that having a team or maybe having 10 people to work under you. It means basically, what do you have fun in selling? For example, if I ask a fashion designer, a very elite fashion designer, to come and make a dress for me in maybe 5,000 rupees, she would not want to do that. It's not because she cannot do that. It's because it's not her forte. She technically does not like doing it. She wants to create expensive things, out of the box thing, custom fit products. And hence, she will not make something which is a regular selling item for 5,000 rupees. She may do it for fun. But on the other hand, if you go and speak to the local retailer, and if you're telling him, sir, this is a packet of salt that you have, this salt has X amount of benefits, it will remove all diseases. This you have to sell in 400 rupees a kg. Most of the times, I think 90 out of 100 times, most of the retailers will actually say no, because it will cannibalize their own existing brand. Right? If the customer is coming and if you are having to show him 10 different options, right, you have to put that additional sales effort also to sell that incremental product. So it's about your skill set to understand what do you generally have fun in selling. For example, when we started Gloob, we entered into a channel network. We used to sell very low SKU size products to dealers and distributors. We figured out that possibly we cannot grow big. If you want this, with this kind of product line, we can only reach a revenue of about 20 to max 50 crores. If we want to reach a revenue of 1,000 crores, we have to get into bigger size projects. So hence, we vertically integrated and we said that, sir, if we can manufacture products, if we can design your products, why can't we design your whole house? That was actually gave us the germ of the idea, with which we entered into something called as the turnkey project, wherein we decorate, as you can see on the slide, we do now residential interiors, we do office interiors, we do restaurant and cafes. So the entire fit out of a particular place, if you just construct 4 walls and give it to us, we can make a space as beautiful as this. Right? So that was a conscious decision. So we started with a low SKU product. We understood that what are the skill sets required for selling this product. Right? We could not have sold a wallpaper for 500 rupees a square feet. We had to sell it at the usual selling price. But then we had to realize that we need to move up the value chain and increase the SKU size of the product. Right? The mistakes that most of the companies do in this, and it's a very interesting question why you ask, the mistake that most of the companies do with a problem statement like this is that they say, okay, boss, our sales team was selling a product for, let's say, rupees 500. Right? I'll use the sales team to sell a product worth rupees 5,000 also. I just want to assess the response, which is a very, very wrong exercise, which a lot of companies have done. Because you have to understand the cycle. A person who's selling a product worth rupees 500, if he comes to you and says that, sir, I tried selling this new product which is worth rupees 5,000 and I wasn't able to sell it, and then you take it that, okay, maybe the product is bad or maybe the product is not fit for the audience that I'm planning, it's a wrong assessment. So what we did, we understood that the people involved in our channel network who are managing dealers and distributors are doing a revenue of maybe 3 to 4 lakh per person. If we ask them and go and pitch to this very elite client who's having this office and pitch to him this turnkey project where we'll do everything, irrespective of the amount of training I give him, it will be a very bad step, because this person will not be able to convert the client. He'll come back to me and say that, sorry, I think there is something wrong with the product. This is the dilemma that most of the companies face. So hence, it is very important to have a different sales function and a different, you can say, different cost center and different profit center for different product lines. Different product lines means product lines of different SKU sizes. For example, doing an office for the image that you're seeing, we did this office in Bombay. This project was about 80 lakhs. Right? Now, I cannot send a person, my usual sales person, who actually makes a revenue of only 3-4 lakhs, and I say, go and pitch this product to the founder or the country head of this company and convince him. He may come with a very wrong response. And hence, it's important to understand how to scale. So there are two things when it comes to scaling. So the question that you asked is, what kind of product should I start with? Should I start with 500 rupees product? Should I start with 50 rupees product? It is you who has to understand what do you actually have the resources, first of all, to sell 50 products in which you are getting 10 rupees profit only. Because you alone would not be able to do that. You will have to put people for that. But on the other hand, if you invest your own self, because you are the most talented person in your business, if you have founded the business, right? You would be the best person to actually go and maybe 2 to 3 meetings sell a product that generates a profit of 500 rupees. So now you have to understand the trade-off. कि आपको किस चीज में करने मजा आ रहा है? Do you want to lead a team, start from a low SKU size product? Do you want to get into high SKU size product, or do you want to start with both? In my perspective, one should always start bottom up. You should start with an item which is low SKU size. Try to understand how to scale it, and then slowly, gradually, in maybe 1 or 2 years, you will automatically understand applications of the same product or how to evolve that product in the same industry. Like we went from channel network to now actually doing the interiors of the. So we are basically have become competitors for architects and interior designers. These are the people who actually 2 years, 3 years back we used to go for getting business. Now we have actually taken their business. We have become a competitor to them. So these are some realizations that you will not be able to understand in year 1 of the business. This you have to grow with your work. You have to do it to understand which direction are you growing in. Slowly, gradually, you will be able to take a logical step. Yeah.
Sir, there's another question from IFIM College, Bangalore.
Yes, please.
Can somebody please come near the screen to ask the question? IFIM Bangalore. We cannot hear you.
I think the mic is mute. Just check.
Can you please check the mic connection?
Yeah.
So we wanted to know how different is Gloob Décor from interior designing?
Okay.
How different is Gloob Décor from interior designing?
Okay. Cool. No, it's a good question. Actually, I was about to come to this. It's not technically very, very different, because initially when we started, we used to manufacture products and sell them. So the designing that used to happen was at the back end. We never used to do designing for a particular client for the whole perspective of selling a solution. Earlier, it was just products. Right? Now, in the past 1 year, we have realized that possibly we will not be able to scale, or possibly it is easier to scale if we directly enter into a particular project, pitching as interior design and architects. So it is not very different, just that we have different ways of approaching the project. Right now, the kind of approach that interior designers follow, it's still very disorganized. They usually use tools like AutoCAD, CorelDRAW to actually design and render a particular thing, and it takes technically 3 to 4 days to show a 3D render like what I have shown. Like the rightmost image that you can see is of a chain called Chayos. This is a store in Bandra that we have done. The entire interiors have been done by us. Right. So first of all, the interior designers, architects first have to show the layout of the whole place by drawing it in CorelDRAW, 3D Max. There are different designing tools. This technically takes them 3 to 4 days. We have our own proprietary design application that we have developed in-house, right? With which we can show these kind of 3D renders in a matter of seconds. Maybe 10 to 15 seconds, we'll be able to show a 3D render like this We will be able to change the fabric of the sofa, change the color of the chair, change the lighting pattern and everything. And we'll be able to show them. So with respect to work, core work, we are not very different. We are actually competitors to them, right? But where we add value is, first of all, we, because of the fact that we are not technically architects and interior decorators, we approach a certain project very scientifically. Right? So when we are doing an office, because we are all from educational background, from IITs and IIMs, we understand how an office should be structured. So when a big MNC comes and wants to design their office, and they approach a usual architect and they say that my technology team will sit here, my operations team will sit here. For them, it is for a usual designer architect, it will not make so much sense, because for them it is just another project that they'll be making money. For us, because we have worked in these kind of organizations, we are able to add greater value to them by creating such kind of furniture where the coders will be kind of co-located. The operations team will be sitting separate. The HR team will be having sufficient space for documentation, and such. So and so is the kind of value that we add. So in core operations, we are not very different. But yes, the way we work is something which is definitely more scalable and definitely better than the way in which the basic interior decorator architect firms work. Yeah. Any other questions, Fahim? Yeah, I believe there's one more person from BCT Gurdaspur who wants to ask a question. Yeah, please.
What do you think? During the startup of a business, how to get the investors, how to generate tech people so that they can show the interest in your business, and how to make the idea really run in the long market.
Okay, I'll reframe your question. I was not able to hear your question. I'll reframe your question. Let me know if it is right or not. You're trying to ask how to attract investors, right?
Yes, basically how to get the investors to believe in your idea. Things that you need to do for that.
Okay, fine. See, first of all, you have to see the interest. You have to think of an investor from an investor's perspective. So better generally when we have not taken funding as yet, but that has been a conscious decision. But we have invested in a lot of companies. What is important when you want to approach an investor is, first of all, think from the perspective of an investor. That, let's say if you put 2 crores in a business, what is the benefit that you will get out of the business after a certain point of time, right? Because nobody is going to invest in a business for free, right? Now that benefit, it may come out of a share of your profits. Let's say the person invests 2 crores in a business, right? Let's say after 1 or 2 years, you start generating a revenue of 50 lakhs. The kind of deals that usually get struck is that either the investor takes a percentage of your profits, or the investor says that I will preserve my percentage of share in the company, and whenever the company gets bought out by some other company or gets invested by some other company, this percentage will be this percentage of investment will whatever percentage I've invested will come to me as profits when the company gets bought out. So let's say if the person invests, let's say, crore rupees in your venture, right? There are 2 ways in which he will want to kind of earn the money out of it. One is from the share of your profit. So let's say after year 1, you're making 50 lakhs worth of profits. He will say that, boss, I'll take 50% share of your profit. So every year he'll take, year 1, he'll take 25 lakhs. That is 50% of 25 lakhs, 50 lakhs. Year 2, if you do 1.5 year, he'll take 75 lakhs. So in this pattern, he might want to recover his investment. That is one. But those cases are very, very rare, because typically manufacturing businesses do not generally reach operational break even before 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years. Right? Typically for manufacturing businesses, their investment gets recovered in the form of exit. You have to show them what are the options of exit. So for example, if I'll take my case, so if we have a brand manufacturing office furniture, there's a significant possibility that if we are able to do well, a brand like Godrej Interior may want to buy a significant stake in our company, or possibly buy the whole company out. That is a very key sign for an investor. to understand that what is the future probability of the company of being bought out, and hence he can understand that, let's say if he invests 1 crore and if he takes 30% stake in your business, later on if some other company buys it for a value of 5 crores, let's say 5 CR, he'll get 30% of it, that is 1.5 CR straight away, in which essentially means that he'll recover his investment. On top of his investment, he'll be able to recover 30 lakhs more, which is a good business case for any investor. So for getting investors is not a tough choice. I mean, I think you're all young enough to connect to venture capitalists, private equity. In fact, all of them are looking for fueling good business ideas. But it's more important to understand from the investor perspective how he will benefit with your association. Yeah, there's another question from BCT Gurdaspur.
Basically, I have 3 questions. That first, tell me your educational background.
Yeah, I did my engineering MBA from Narsee Monjee Institute of Management Studies, that is Bombay. It was a 5-year integrated course in telecom and marketing. So I'm a specialist in telecom, and I specialized in the management domain in marketing. Yeah.
And the startup program, did any other organization came to help, or like a government organization or anything that helped you in making it at this large level?
See, we never actually needed any kind of help. As I mentioned before I started the presentation, we had a conscious decision to refrain from any kind of funding. That was with the perspective that when a person invests money in your company, he also takes a significant stake in your decision making. So let us say we started with a distribution network, and within 2.5 years we decided that we want to put this business as a separate vertical, and we want to step into turnkey business wherein we'll pitch as a competition to interior design and architect. Now this is a very gigantic move. I'm sure if there was an investor in place, this decision itself would have taken us at least 6 to 8 months to finalize, because obviously he has put his money at risk. So he needs to understand that what are the business plans, what is the what is the kind of analysis that you have done, and that technically, in my belief, I may be wrong, but sometimes it may do harm to the business, because the people who are running the business know best how to run that, how possibly to scale that business if they are running it with a positive intention. Sometimes the presence of an investor stifles the growth. We did not, I may be wrong, this was my personal choice, the personal choice of my colleagues, but we never wanted somebody on board because we thought that our business was doing profitable, we were able to sustain it, there was enough liquidity, and hence there was no reason for getting any investor on board, because we never had any survival issues. 2, we wanted to be our own decision makers. We didn't want maybe another CEO sitting on top of us and possibly directing us to things where we felt could have gone the other way. Yeah.
So the idea of startup, that was present in your mind from while we were doing the degree only?
Yes. As I explained, we in I think the 3rd or 4th year of college, we already started with this venture called Zion Media Labs, in which we were creating audiovisual content for a lot of big companies. So as I mentioned, for Pepsi, for HUL, we had created advertisement jingles. We had created audiovisual content for their advertisement campaigns. But then we realized that possibly we could outgrow our own size, because with the kind of skill sets that we had got in terms of designing, we thought that we could possibly create a bigger brand. So that way. So the germ of the idea, yes, came in college, and hence that's why I said that in those 4 years, it is very, very important for all students to make purposeful bets. When I say purposeful bets, does not necessarily mean that you need to be successful. But if you possibly try to figure out 4 to 5 industry segments where you want to put your hands, create products, put it for experiment, and you will understand whether you are successful or not. You'll at least get an idea of what you like doing, what you do not like doing. Because please understand that business, if business was only about IQ, I'm sure you all understand what is IQ. IQ is basically intelligence. If business was just about IQ, the world economy would not have flourished so much, because all the MBAs and all the big expats would be heading business, owning business. Business is always about emotional quotient. How emotional or how competitive or how emotional are you about your own venture? Are there hardships, and what is the hardship that you can sustain? So it's always about that. And hence, it is very important to not to go right with your choice. If you realize 4 years down the line that what you're doing is not matching your skill set, it will be something not so great, because maybe you would have lost a lot of time. So these 4 years need to be utilized properly, I believe.
Sir, could you suggest anything that we should keep in mind if we opt for a startup? The first or the foremost thing that we must be knowing before we go startup.
See, I would suggest, I may be wrong in my decision, but I would suggest everyone to have some corporate experience first of all. Maybe till you can say 28 to 30 years of age. It's very important to follow some good person. Maybe it can be your boss, it can be some leading personality, it can be some icon who you want to follow personally. Follow his line of work, and it's very important in these 4 or 5 years after you pass out to have a good boss, to work in a company which you generally like. It does not need to be necessarily the company which you will work 20 years. It needs to be generally a good body of work, and you need to ensure that you're working under a good company. When I say company is a good surrounding, you're being directed by a good superior, you're having good peers around you. Right? And possibly these 2-3 years, it is, I think for everyone, I would suggest it is good to have some corporate experience, because that is something that is lacking in the college education today. And that is something that cannot be, there is no alternative to that. If you have a sound 3-4 year experience, you will understand what it takes to possibly deliver a product. You will get opportunity to meet a lot of peers from different backgrounds, and I believe it would instill a lot of confidence in you rather than possibly jumping into a startup directly, right? Wherein you might find that possibly your other peers who are working in different companies are more successful than you. So it is important to kind of get that experience in some company, also to understand what are the problems with that. There is no harm in that, because you need to be, as I mentioned, you need to be emotionally sorted before you begin a company. So I had worked in KPMG, I had worked in Vodafone, Reliance for a few years, about 3.5 years before I took a leave, because I could understand that there's only so much that I can grow in these companies. Right? And I was basically sorted in the sense that even if I chart out my next 10 years, this is where I'll reach in these companies. But if I do something of my own, I had enough emotional stability to understand that I would not be happy if I was working for someone. Right? But to get that understanding, it is very important to kind of put your hands, take maybe a 2-year experience, 3-year experience. That's what I would suggest. In that way, you'll be sorted enough to answer questions to yourself that you should not repent it later that no, I entered into wrong business. I should have been there in a job or something like that. Right? It's very important to be emotionally stable. And the key to entrepreneurship and everything is just to keep going on. Right? You cannot, there will be hardships, there will be problematic days. There are days when we started, where we did not take salaries for 3 to 4 months. Right? There are hardship times where we consciously reduce our salary to 50%, while some of the employees are definitely earning more than us. Right? So that these hardships, people need to be emotionally stable. And for that, you need to make some purposeful bets. You need to understand your life better than actually understanding your business. So these are some things that I would kind of advise people. Yeah. There's another question here.
Suppose you and your friend started a business, and as you have told that you have done management, then you have the knowledge to how to start a business, and you have the same shop. Suppose that the shop is of furniture, and you have well maintained and well decorated your shop. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
one of your friend is has a normal shop, having the same goods. Then, as I am a customer, then which shop I should prefer?
Okay, I'll reframe your question. I could not get the question. Fahim, can you please repeat the question? I could not get the question exactly.
No, the voice is not audible.
So you have 2 shops. I have a shop and my friend has a shop. That's what I could understand. What is the difference? Sorry.
Suppose your shop is well decorated and well maintained.
Okay.
And your friend's shop is normal.
Okay.
And having the same goods in both the shops. Then, which shop, as a customer, which shop I should choose?
Okay, I think as a customer, it's not about which shop I would choose. It's technically you will be more attracted when it comes to home decor, at least, or maybe something like apparels or clothes or food. You will obviously be more attracted to the place which looks better, which looks more hygienic, which is well decorated, because it is an example. It is an evidence that the services which you will get will be much better than what you would get from maybe the not so well decorated shop, right? This is true of some of obviously some markets, maybe some industries like home decor, like clothes. Like you'll generally not find good clothes showrooms who are commanding a premium over their apparels being decorated in a very bad fashion. They are always decorated nicely. Everything is right in place. So yes, it's an obvious choice.
Sir, but we always believe in maximum profit.
I'm sorry?
We always believe that we should have the maximum profitization.
That's true, but then the showroom which is well decorated can also command a certain premium on its products. For example, if you you will find that there is a hello, yeah, am I audible in this?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm trying to say is that there are certain portfolio of items for which, for example, you've been to an Apple showroom where Apple sells its MacBooks, right? If you go to an Apple showroom, you will see that possibly the kind of space that they use for putting the MacBooks and the Apple laptops, there's a lot of free space which these guys leave. They only place not more than 10 to 12 laptops in the entire Apple showroom, right? While when the same Apple gets there into a multi-brand retail outlet like a Reliance Digital or a Chroma showroom, you'll see that Apple laptop being maybe 5 laptops being put on one table. Now the point is that as a brand, right, you need to basically focus on two things. One, if you are maybe situated in a place which is commanding higher premium, let's say I'm taking example of the shop which is very well decorated. You obviously cannot increase the price of the product, right? Because the product has a standard MRP. What you can possibly command premium on is the quality of service, right? So, for example, I'll take the example of the home decor industry only. If you go to buy a curtain fabric, you will buy the same curtain fabric from 5 different shops, and this is a real case. The same curtain fabric will cost you maybe 1.5 times in a very well decorated showroom, as compared to a showroom which is not so very well decorated. Simply because of the fact that in the well decorated showroom there is, or maybe a bigger showroom, there will be a dedicated person to attend to your needs. If you have to buy a curtain, which is a very, very tough choice. If I just come and throw 10 albums of curtains on you, sir, you can choose, and whenever you choose, you let me know. Is that a good service? Or is this a good service that a dedicated employee comes, he understands your requirements and then possibly shows you what kind of fabric or what kind of clothes, what kind of products you would like, and then charges a small consulting fee on that. That consulting fee obviously not charged separately, it is incorporated in the price of the product. So when you go to a big showroom, when you go to a small showroom, the product price remains the same. The markup, the increase in price is primarily because of the fact that there's a difference in the quality of service that you get in a better place versus maybe a smaller place. For example, a live case taking home decor, a curtain is when you buy a particular piece of furniture for your home, the process of selling does not end over there. You buy the furniture, you pay a certain amount to him, and then you pay the rest of the amount when the team comes and installs it in your home. There's a very high probability that when you buy it from a small shop, this delivery of the product might not happen on time. There'll be breakage in the product, there'll be scratches on the product. When the labor comes to install the product in your house, he may not install it properly. These things are always there these risks are always there when you're dealing with smaller sellers, which is not the case when you're dealing with a brand like Chroma, when you're dealing with a brand like Reliance Digital, when you're dealing with bigger brands, because their whole service ecosystem is very well created, and that's the reason they are able to charge a markup. And still, people are paying for it. So rather than increasing the price of the product, it is important to understand what additional services can you provide, and then can you incorporate the cost of those services in the price of the product. You obviously cannot charge it separately, but you can say, ma'am, this is what is the service thing. This is a package. The wallpaper that you are getting over there, let's say it costs 100 rupees with me. It will cost 120 rupees, which will include all these services: your consultation of design, your installation of wallpaper, and everything. So it's important to package the product very well. Yeah. Yeah.
So is there any more questions from any other college? IFIM guys? Gurdaspur, is there any other question coming up?
I can hear you, please.
Voice is not that audible. Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go on.
My question is that if everyone set up a business for a profit making, and if like your product is coming out of the market on the same prices as like you, then what do you do? Compromise with quality or compromise with price?
I think I've already answered this question, but in my personal capacity, I would certainly never compromise on quality. Never compromise on quality, because the problem is you have to have a vision. We are not here to just make money and go run away with the money. We are here to make scalable. The moment we say that we are going to run a business, it's important to understand that we need to make sustainable processes. If you make one bad product and it goes to a good customer, he will spoil the next 10 customers for you. Right? So whenever you have, generally in my capacity, whenever there's a trade-off and you have to make a choice between quality and the time to delivery or any other factor, always choose quality.
Okay. So great, sir. I think that was an insightful session on manufacturing from business perspective. I'm sure you have inspired and showed a way forward to a lot of students present here, and they may go ahead and take up as their career option. And we thank you once again for coming on board and giving these students light on how manufacturing business or manufacturing startups are run. Right. And thank you so much for the session, sir.
Sure. Thanks a lot, the VBind team, and thanks a lot, all the colleges. It was a great session.
Thank you, Gurdaspur College and Bain College, for coming on board and cooperating. Thank you so much.
Thank you.